not even Damien Russo, the man I had loved for more than 15 years. When my father fell gravely ill, the family's legal team officially initiated the succession process. According to an agreement signed by the 5 families years ago, I was required to choose one of the 4 heirs to become my future husband and the future co-ruler of the alliance. In my father's hospital room, silence lingered for a long moment. Then he nodded toward his attorney. The man stepped forward carrying a black velvet box. Inside were 4 playing cards, 4 aces. Ace of spades, Damien Russo. Ace of hearts, Nathan Kane. Ace of clubs, Adrian Romano. My father looked at me and said quietly,
"If you cannot choose, then let fate decide for you."
I stared at the cards for what felt like forever. Then I closed my eyes and picked one. The room fell silent. Everyone waited. I slowly turned the card over. A black club stared back at me. Ace of clubs. Adrian Romano. Even I was stunned. No one could have imagined that the man fate would choose was the most notorious troublemaker among the 5 Hamleys. Dad, I choose Adrian. I looked down at the card in my hand and forced a bitter smile. Maybe this really was fate. Maybe Damien and I were never meant to be. My father leaned back against the hospital bed and studied me in silence.
"Victoria, are you sure? Once the succession documents take effect, there will be no turning back."
Of course I knew that. But Damien didn't love me. Why keep forcing something that was never meant to be? Other than him, it didn't matter who I married. As the sole heir of the Moretti family, I had responsibilities and sacrifices. I took my father's hand. "Dad, I've made my decision. I won't regret it." He let out a quiet sigh and signed Adrian Romano's name onto the succession papers.
"In 3 days, I'll officially announce Adrian as your fiancé and future co-ruler of the alliance."
I nodded. As I stepped out of the hospital room, I saw 4 familiar figures waiting at the end of the hallway. The 4 Heres. The boys who had grown up with me. Luca, the least capable of keeping a secret, immediately walked over.
"Victoria, I heard Don's making you choose one of us to marry. Who'd you pick?"
Instinctively, my eyes found Damien. Nathan Kane laughed and slapped him on the shoulder.
"Come on, that's obvious. Everyone in New York knows Victoria's been in love with Damien forever."
Damien's expression darkened immediately. When he looked at me, there was resentment in his eyes and something dangerously close to anger. The look cut deeper than I wanted to admit. For a moment, I wanted to tell him the truth, to tell him I hadn't chosen him. But then I thought, after chasing him all these years, maybe it was his turn to wonder.
"Seriously, Victoria, who is it?"
My gaze drifted past them and landed on Adrian Romano. He stood against the wall, casually spinning a car key around one finger, completely indifferent. As you'll all find out in 3 days, Adrian met my eyes, one eyebrow raised slightly. I turned away and kept walking. Nathan wasn't wrong. Everyone knew I loved Damien, but Damien was proud, too proud. He believed becoming my husband would mean gaining power through me, and he hated the idea of having his already in love with someone else. Because of me, he could never openly be with her. No matter how hard I tried, no matter how much I cared, he never looked back. What Damien never understood was that my marriage had never truly belonged to me. My father had spent a lifetime building an empire, but in the end, I was his only child created. My future husband could only be one of them. Neither they nor I had any other choice. Lost in thought, I suddenly heard a familiar voice behind me.
"Victoria, wait."
I turned around. Standing behind me was Damien Russo. His jaw was tight, his fists clenched at his sides, and his expression was anything but pleasant. "Do you need something?" Damien was silent for a moment before speaking.
"Victoria, there's someone I love. I hope you'll let us be together."
A laugh escaped me. "Damien, do you really think I was going to choose you?" His expression faltered.
"You're the sole heir to the Moretti family. You have plenty of options, so why force something that isn't wanted?"
I lowered my gaze and smiled bitterly. "Don't worry. I won't chase after you anymore. You can go after the life you want and be with the woman you love." Damien frowned.
"Victoria, what exactly is that supposed to mean?"
I hesitated. Part of me wondered whether I should tell him that my future husband had already been chosen. Before I could decide, someone suddenly crashed into me, caught completely off guard. I lost my balance and fell hard to the floor. Before I could even react, Sophia Marina dropped to her knees.
Victoria, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Please don't be angry.
Rubbing my aching arm, I stared at her in confusion. Sophia was the only daughter of the Marino family, beautiful, wealthy, and born into privilege. Yet every time she saw me, she acted as though I were some kind of monster, even when I hadn't done a thing. And because of that, Damien had never been particularly kind to me. He always seemed convinced that I was bullying her. Seeing tears welling in Sophia's eyes, Damien immediately helped her to her feet.
That's enough. It was an accident. You don't need to apologize like this.
Then he looked up at me. The warning in his eyes was unmistakable. I watched the scene unfold without saying a word. Sophia's tears instantly spilled over. She crouched down again, her voice trembling.
Victoria, it's all my fault. Please forgive me.
I slowly rose to my feet and looked down at her. Damien immediately assumed I was about to make things difficult for her. His face darkened. Forgetting even the most basic courtesy, he snapped,
Victoria, she didn't do it on purpose. If you keep throwing your weight around like this, how are you supposed to lead the Moretti family one day?
How are the 5 families ever supposed to respect you?
Throwing my weight around? Sophia had knocked me to the floor. I hadn't even spoken yet, and somehow I was already the villain. Maybe I'd been too good to Damien for too long. Maybe remember this. This is what throwing your weight around actually looks like. Damien's eyes widened. He hadn't seen it coming. Neither had anyone else. Staring at the red handmark blooming across Sophia's cheek, he raised his voice in fury. Met his gaze without flinching. Call me Miss Moretti. For years I had loved him, indulged him, made excuses for him, but that didn't give him the right to lecture me. Damien clearly hadn't expected this. The Victoria who had spent years chasing after him had never once laid a hand on him. His jaw tightened. The veins at his temples stood out sharply. His fists clenched so hard I could hear the joints crack.
Good. Very good. Victoria, you've certainly surprised me.
With that, he grabbed Sophia's hand and stormed away without looking back. I watched them leave, but instead of satisfaction, an unexpected sadness settled in my charity gala. He met Sophia Marino. He fell in love with her kindness, grace, and intelligence, and from that moment on, his heart belonged to her. A bitter laugh escaped me. If Damien ever found out that the man I had chosen was Adrian Romano, he'd probably be thrilled. The next day marked the arrival of the 5 Families Alliance most important annual event, the Legacy Gala. It was the grandest gathering of the year, attended by every major figure within the alliance. My father's condition had continued to deteriorate it, so this year I was forced to host the gala in his place. Accompanied by the 4 ears, Damien was clearly still angry about what had happened the day before. Throughout the entire event, he didn't spare me a single glance. I didn't bother acknowledging him either. After dinner, I went for a walk alone in the estate gardens to get some fresh air. That's when a familiar voice drifted into my ears.
Damien, try this.
Following the sound, I turned and ache spread through my chest. I was about to leave when several unfamiliar men emerged from behind the trees. They were dressed in black suits. Gloves covered their hands. Their eyes were cold and emotionless. Who are you? What do you want? Immediately, my instinct, but against professional killers, I was hopelessly outmatched. Not far away, Damien had clearly noticed the commotion. Instinctively, I shouted,
Damien, help me!
He immediately started running towards me.
Damien, don't go! I'm scared!
But at that exact moment, Sophia grabbed his arm tightly. Damien stopped, and rushed in with their security teams. Within minutes, every assassin had been. Entire body felt cold, but the wound in my heart hurt far more than the one on. Yet moments ago, he had watched me fall into danger for Sophia's sake. Luca and Nathan had clearly witnessed everything. The way they looked at Damien afterward became noticeably more complicated. It didn't take long for my father to hear about the attack. The entire family was shaken. An investigation into the mastermind behind the assassination was ordered. An emergency meeting of the 5 families was called immediately. Although there was no evidence linking the Marino family to the attack, Sophia's presence at the scene still made her a person of interest. My father was furious. Before the investigation was concluded, he ordered that Sophia was not permitted to leave the Marino estate. That same night, Damien stormed into my office. His face was darker than I'd ever seen it.
Victoria, this has nothing to do with Sophia. Why would you do this? This is nothing more than personal revenge.
I looked at him coldly, so that was what he believed. He thought Sophia's confinement was my doing. Damien, do you realize I almost died today? He didn't seem to care.
But you didn't. You're the heir to the Moretti family.
Damien stepped closer, his tone growing harsher.
You have an army of people protecting you. Sophia only has me.
She was almost attacked today, too. She's a victim. Talk to your father. Have the restrictions removed.
I refused. Damien's chest rose and fell violently.
Victoria, you really disappoint me. You're supposed to be the future leader of this family, and yet you can't even tell right from wrong.
Without another word, he turned around and slammed the door behind him. For the next 2 days, Damien never showed up. My father took my marriage very seriously. To formally announce the man who would become my husband, he organized a grand alliance, a banquet. Nearly every influential figure in New York's high society and the 5 families attended. By the time I arrived at the ballroom, Damien was already seated with the Russo family. Our eyes met briefly. The next second, he coldly looked away, as if looking at me for even a moment was a waste of his time. The banquet had not yet begun, but whispers had already spread throughout the room. Who do you think Victoria is going to choose?
Isn't it obvious? Damien Russo. Everyone in New York knows she's in love with him. I think Nathan Kane has a shot too.
The Kane family has been dominating the arms business lately.
Luca's a strong contender as well. The DeLuca family has been growing rapidly these past few years. Anyone but Adrian Romano.
At that moment, someone let out a soft laugh. Immediately, the people around him became interested.
Why else? Everyone in the alliance knows Adrian's a notorious playboy. Nightclubs, sports cars, tabloids, his face is everywhere. There's no way Don would entrust the future of the alliance to someone like him, and Victoria would never choose him.
The comments drifted continuously into Damien's ears. Although he remained silent, his grip on his wine glass tightened. Luca and Nathan, on the other hand, seemed completely unconcerned. They chatted and drank as if none of this involved them. As for Adrian, he leaned back in his chair with his eyes closed, as though none of it had anything to do with him.